Well, last week we featured a story on the Zonta Club's fashion show that raised money for Stopping Violence Dunedin. Tonight, Brett Gray is here to tell us the sort of thing the organisation does with that funding. Brett, good evening. Welcome.
Hi.
First of all, can you tell us a bit about Stopping Violence Dunedin and what it does?
Oh, we've been around since 1986. We run programs for men who have been mandated by courts to attend to address their violence or as self-referrals.
Now, your organisation describes violence as a learned behaviour that can be unlearned. How can it be unlearned?
Well, our programs basically focus on the beliefs that support the violence and working on developing an understanding of the impact of that violence on the victims. And once people understand that, then normally they desire to change.
Now, you're starting a new program. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, we're running a program for women who want to address their issues around violence and anger. We actually ran a pilot program in 2010, and it's taken this long to be able to generate enough funding to commence a program with the help of Zonta.
So why has the program been introduced?
Basically because of the need. I'm a lawyer in town, and when I started practicing in the mid-90s, for a woman to appear in the district court was a rarity, and now it's not unusual. So there's definitely been an increase in women's violence, and although they're in a minority, it's certainly there.
What sort of things will be included in the sessions?
Well, the program, we have the luxury really of running the program as we want to run it rather than the way that the government would prefer us to run it or mandates to run it. So it gives us an opportunity to free up what we do, but essentially it's looking at people's self-esteem and how they can change their communication styles, but also looking at the reasons why they are feeling the way they are.
Has there been any anecdotal evidence about why there's been an increase in women's violence in particular?
Oh, I think there's a response to the heightened awareness in campaigns, so people are watching those campaigns and considering their own behaviour. But I think society is a much more stressful and more difficult place to live in than it was, and I think there's also an understanding by women themselves that they want an opportunity to address these issues. So it's mainly driven by women asking for programs, to be perfectly honest.
My next question was, who's going to benefit from the program?
Well, we all will directly, but the women that want to address their violence, that have come through various agencies or have come through, ad campaigns or just basically looking around in the community for a program to do, because it isn't well resourced and it's not very well publicised, or there's lots of help for men, but not so much for women.
How do you measure the success of what the organisation does?
Well, I mean, the measurement of success, I suppose, is long term. But really, when we've been working now, we're working with some third generation families of people who have come through our program as men. The success is hard to judge, but I mean, I've been working in this area myself for a long time, and when I meet people in the street I work with, straight away. But just from the look in their eyes and whether they're happy with their life. But it's actually quite hard to measure insofar as there's simple ones around reoffending rates and those sorts of things. But and of course, what you consider to be success is a relative thing as well. So, I mean, you really have to talk to the participants.
Brett Gray from Stopping Violence Dunedin, thanks very much for your time.
No problem.